Welcome to the Win Again Clubroom. I am super fired up to have you here. This is presented by, of course, the Win Again Academy, and I am pretty damn fired up to have not only a funny guy and an amazing guy and an incredible story, but just someone that just puts a smile on everybody's face. So Tyree, I'm gonna bring you into the mix right now, and Tyree's going to tell us all about his story, and we're got lots to talk about. Tyree, welcome to the club room.
Well, I appreciate it. Club room in the house.
Yeah.
Raise her up.
So thanks for that. I'm glad that number one, we finally got to this point because, you and I, you've attended a couple of these events and you've seen how amazing this platform is. It's really something that, we never imagined just a few months ago. And I think we've all been sort of stuck at a lot of Zoom events and that sort of thing. But this is awesome. So anyway, let me give you a quick little intro. Tyree is was a 400-meter world record holder and an NFL alumni. He is not only a speaker and a fabulous speaker, as you'll soon hear even more, but also and I want to make sure I get this right, but a law enforcement peace officer, which is a very important distinction, right, and designation. And then lastly, and best of all, currently anyway, he's an author of an incredible new book called Against All Odds, and I think it's sold about 1 billion copies only because nobody can get one right now. They're sold out everywhere, but it's a fabulous book, all really detailing Tyree's story and his sort of transformation from trauma into triumph, and we'll talk more about that. How'd I do?
Excellent. I love it. I love it.
And I don't have any notes like on the inside of my eyes or anything. I was kind of winging it. So
you know the teleprompter.
Yeah, me and every politician ever. Teleprompter. That's pretty funny. I'd be the guy that's like squinting at it, like, what the hell's that say? So
yeah, that's me.
Yeah, but listen, we're going to cover a whole lot of things today, but do it fairly quickly because we'll also want to jump back and be able to get back to some of our conversations, which were already very fabulous. And you can talk about all kinds of things in the club room, which I found out about a little while ago. But anyway, but one of the things that I really want to touch on with you, Tyree, is the concept that I think many people have been going through quite, this has been a tough time for us. 2020 has been a really challenging year for a variety of reasons. And I know a lot of what your book talks about is going through challenging times and how you can really look at those challenging times and either kind of get sucked into them or emerge from them. But tell me more about that, if you could.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so much adversity that I've gone through in my life, and I mean, from dealing with just murder, being part of the biggest doping scandal in U.S. history, where I lost 3 world championship gold medals, my world record. I mean, just illness. I mean, it goes on and on and on. But one thing that I look at that really helps me is obviously my faith in God. That helps a lot. I mean, I read the book of Job a lot because I know Job went through a lot, and he remained faithful and he kept persevering, kept pushing forward. And at the end, he was blessed beyond belief. But also too, you look at all the other people that are going through the same thing that you've gone through, and they've overcome those same challenges. And I think that's where the hope lies. And like it's like me and Deshaun were talking about this earlier, is that hope is so big, and it's especially with the COVID's been running rampant. It's caused a lot of chaos, a lot of people passed away. But when I look back at the Spanish flu, I mean, it killed 50 to 100 million people worldwide, but people were able to still persevere. They were able to get over it. They got over the Great Depression. I mean, that just financially that just hit our economy hard. But the key is that whatever you're going through in life, just keep pushing forward, and you have to make sure that your thinking is on a positive level. I mean, you can't, if you're putting negativity out there in the world, negativity is going to come back to you. And you have to, and I talk about this with my athletes and anybody that's going through issues. I say, whoever you hang around with is who you will become. So you're around people that are negative and that are grumbling, those negative Nancy's, those negative Aaron's. I mean, that's what you're going to attract in your life. And so you have to just flip the game. And I was able to flip it in my life and get the right important people in place that that were not going to be yes people, that were gonna give me that constructive criticism. And also people that when I was down on my knees and I felt like I couldn't get back up, they reached out their hand to lift me back up, and so I can give me that little bit of push so I can keep pushing forward in life.
That's fabulous. You know, one of the things that, in fact, I was kind of going through a little bit of a downer moment. I try not to have them. I'm a pretty usually happy-go-lucky guy kind of thing. But you know, the other day I was kind of like, wow, you know, all the stuff that I've been trying to do to grow the club room and grow my business and everything else, and you know, I was just going through like a little bit of a, you know, a little whiny session with myself. But then you know, it's so important, I think, to almost have like, you know how when you're being hypnotized, I mean, actually, I don't know because I've never been hypnotized, but if
Me
I was
neither.
being hypnotized, but you know how they always have like, you know, first of all, you're doing like, you know, they're like this, and then you're like, but then there's like a word that snaps you out of it, right? I think that there should be a word or something that we all go through where when we're in the middle of that little funky time to say like, hey, stop it, you know, and then start thinking about all the things that have gone right and the things you should be thankful for. Then, you know, not just your health, but your family, your this, your that. I mean, start thinking about all the things that really are going well for you, even though you're kind of stuck in the funk of what's not going well. You know, kind of try
Well,
to push those aside.
I when I think about that is I think about whatever situation we're going through. It's not a phenomenon. It's nothing new. And I think sometimes we get caught up in our feelings. We think that what we're going through is something new, and it's not. Like, and it's kind of like the woe is me. And I think we have to get out of that. And
Yeah,
and for me, is I think about, like I said earlier, is that, well, there was somebody else that has gone through what I'm going through right now, and that helps me to be able to push forward and to keep going. And even though I'm knocked down on my knees, I'm gonna put my hands on my knees. I'm gonna get back up, and I'm gonna keep striving forward, and I'm gonna see where I want to be. That's because, I mean, obviously visualization is huge. I mean, you see where you want to be, and that's where you're going to be. And but like I said, if we get out of that woe is me, and I'm the only person on this entire planet that's going through this out of 7.8 billion people, then we're gonna, you know, our life will get a lot. Our life will get a lot better. It's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna get better.
that's great. And, you know, one thing I really want to sort of rewind the tape a little bit for is that you know, you, as you mentioned earlier, you know, you won these gold medals. You won, you know, you were the world champion, all this sort of thing, and then you had it taken away um, because of a doping scandal. And I think what I'd like to hear briefly is, you know, a little bit of, you know, that whole like the euphoria of winning and then having it taken away, but then how you emerged from that bitterness, or do you still carry that bitter? I mean, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, when I lost those 3 world titles, I mean, it was just like literally a click of a button. They were gone. I mean, it was very heartbreaking because I thought about all the time I put into training and watching film and seeing all these, you know, all my physicians, and to
Right.
be able to be in the best possible shape I can to battle the best 400-meter runners in the world. And for somebody to say, well, you basically, even though you ran this race, but it never counted. It just never it was a mirage. It wasn't real. It was very frustrating for me. But inside, I had to have forgiveness, even though, and that's hard for a lot of people. It's hard for people to forgive somebody else that has wronged you. I had to
Mm,
forgive each and every athlete that did me wrong for committing a doping violation to cause me to be able to lose my gold medals and my world record. But that fueled me to want to turn my bad situation, and that's been my life. Everything that's happened bad in my life is that I've learned to be able to flip it into something good, to be able to help other people, because it's because in every bad situation we go through, I mean, there's a learning lesson that we're going to get out of it. And there was a lot of learning lessons. I mean, because gratitude, you know, they say gratitude gives you a better attitude, and it's so true. I had to be grateful for the fact is that I was healthy, and that I had the opportunity to run on this relay team, and for people to, I can showcase my talent to the world. And so there was a lot of good within it. But when you're going through it, it sucks. I mean, because it's in the papers, it's all in the news. I mean, it's a huge scandal. Everybody's looking at you. I remember when it happened, I was going to Target and people were just looking at me because I was front center in the paper. They're like, Washington loses world record. And I'm just like, you know, you want to put your head down, but I'm like, you know, it's like, you know, chest out, chin up, and keep on pushing. And because I know that I maintained my integrity, and I had to go through it. And sometimes, unfortunately, it's the nature of the beast that when you're part of a team, if one of your team members, even if your coworkers, they do something wrong, it may affect you because it's a domino effect. But like all in all, I've learned, just like I said, learn to flip it and be able to help other people, to become better.
That's a great lesson right there. So in your book, you talk about your top 10 takeaways towards success and so forth, and how to. So we can't list all 10 because that's cheating. You have to buy the book. But give me one or two of them that you think we can really start using almost immediately that can really help us.
Well, I think that I talk about, I think we all have to stop being perfect, because the way we live in a social media era, there's so much technology, and they're trying to put up the right picture. They want the video to be flawless, whatnot. But the truth of the matter is that we're never going to be perfect. There's always going to be something that we're going to do wrong. We're going to have flaws. Even a supermodel. I mean, even though they have this fabulous dress on and they're walking down the runway, just strutting that catwalk, they still have flaws. There's something that's wrong with them that they're dealing with, and they're trying to just overcome it. I think that we have to just work on trying to become better in everything that we do. And for me, I remember years ago when I was playing Pop Warner football, my football coach, he told me and told my teammates, he said, "Well, practice makes perfect." And so I go out there and I have like a great game. I'm scoring 5 touchdowns, and I may have like, I got like, 100 yards in reception, but there's some things I did wrong, because when you go back and watch film, you can see it, because film don't lie. I got a 15-yard penalty. I jumped out, I got offsides. I dropped some passes. So it's not perfect. So I think that instead of trying to be perfect, we just have to just work on trying to get better in everything that we do. Try to get better in your marriage. Try to get better with your health, and just with your business. Just take those baby steps. It doesn't have to be perfect, and because a lot of people go out and they sell their soul just to get likes and followers, and I believe in just being authentic and being organic, and I also believe that if somebody doesn't like you, and I talk about this on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, if somebody doesn't like you, it's okay. Just it's a when you're dealing with business, and even dating. It's just that you may encounter somebody that you may like, and they may not match up to your criteria. So you just have to say next. And you may want to network with somebody. You may want to do business with them. They may not like you for whatever reason. Don't take it personal. Just say next. So I think that's very important.
How would
That
you
we
know
can,
that though? Everyone likes you, don't they? Come on,
no,
Tyree.
they don't.
What?
They don't like me. No, they
What?
don't. No, they're like,
What?
what? I don't like that dude's smile. I don't like his smile. I don't like his
Oh
swagger.
man.
I don't like that he talks about overcoming adversity. I don't like he's coaching, whatever.
Well,
There's somebody for everybody.
it's funny is
But
I've been accused of having selective hearing. Um, Not sure why, but that'd be also selective seeing, right? I'll just see those that want to like me, and try to ignore the ones that don't. I think that's great advice. Now, real quickly, if you do have a question, do me a favor and stick it in that Q&A section over there. Partially so I can see it, and partially so I won't squint too much. But I'm going to squint now, and there is a question though that Renata has about wanting to know. Did you use any sort of specific mental health tools, any sort of a system to help with your mindset, or was it just the system of Tyree, or what did you use to really help you overcome a lot of the trauma that you went through?
to be honest with you, it's my faith in God. That's what helped me out tremendously. And because I truly believe, I don't knock anybody if they don't believe in God, believe in Jesus. I don't. That's your preference. It's fine.
Mm,
As far as myself, is that I would read my Bible. I'll read the book of Job, and I
yeah,
talked about that a few minutes ago.
yeah,
Job went through a lot of stuff in his life, and a lot of things in his life, and there's certain scriptures in the Bible that talks about worrying. They talk about lean not to your understanding. And so for me, that was like, it's almost like in life, we have this, we're always going to have these tests, right? You're going to have there's these temptations, and those tests and temptations that we're going through, that the Bible is going to tell you how to get over those tests and those temptations. And that helped me out tremendously. And though that was like my cheat sheet. But a lot of times this is that, I get people that have that are faith based, and they're like, well, I'm just going to do what I want to do, but it doesn't work out. So for me, that really helped me to keep on persevering. It gave me a lot of hope. It helped me to think on a positive level and just to never quit. And also too, though, is that I had a lot of lifelines. I think we all have lifelines, and whatever you're going through in your life, is that you have to get with somebody that is more mature than you, that has wisdom, that has the knowledge, and that has been through what you've that has gone through what you've gone through, whatnot. and take advantage of that. Listen to the advice that they give you, so that way you don't go continue down that wrong path to continue to make those wrong decisions where you're like a dog chasing his tail.
So I like what you said, Tyree, because actually going to church will put a lot of therapists out of business. I mean, that seems to be the right answer, going to church and having a chat with the man or woman or whatever we call it upstairs. But that's fantastic. So um, I'm curious about, you're an author. Not to be self-serving, but I'm an author too. Not that I'm pointing at my book right now, but I guess what I wanted to find out from you is what compelled you to want to write Against All Odds? I mean, was it something where one morning you said, God, people need to know my story? Or was it over the period of time where people would say to you, Tyree, you got to write a book, man, you've been through so much? Or tell me a little bit about how that happened.
I think it was a combination of things. My book was supposed to come out 15 years ago, and I had a writer, Buck Thorpe, who was it was the beginning stages of just laying the groundwork, the foundation, to get my book out there to the world. But then he got sick, and then it's like I had this 15-year hiatus, and during that 15-year time frame, I was talking to writers all over. So
Hmm.
I had a lot of friends. My friend, a good friend of mine, Kevin Daly, my wife, and many others. They're like, Ty, why don't you just write your own book? You know your story better than everybody else. But the reason why I wanted to write my book, and I'm gonna show you this right here. Here we go, Against All Odds, right here. Right.
I
Let me
love
find
it.
it.
There you go.
And it's because I wanted that we got 7.8 billion people on planet Earth. I want, as many people as I possibly can, to be able to read my story so I can plant more positive seeds around this globe. Because like I said earlier, that all of us are going through some type of issue in our life that we're trying to deal with. And I haven't gone
Right.
through everything, right? But I've been through a lot. I've been through a hell of a lot. And when you read my story, you can, people will see that, hey man, if this kid from Riverside, California, this little scrawny kid that comes from the ghetto, that was raised by his mother and his grandmother, if he was able to overcome all these challenges he took advantage of good people in his life, then I can be able to do it. And that's what I want. I want people to understand. I want them to take away from my story is that I don't believe that I'm something like special. I mean, I've done some great things in my life, but if I can do it, you can do it. But you have to invest in yourself, because if you don't invest in yourself, nobody else is going to invest in you most of the time.
I love it. I just, for everyone's sake, I just put in the general chat box there. I put the link to Amazon if you want to grab Tyree's book. He will be very happy about that. If you get
Yes.
maybe just only order maybe 100, 150 copies. That should
Order as
cover
many
it.
as you want.
Yeah.
Order away. Share. The
Um,
key is share.
that's
That's the
right.
key. Share
Now,
it.
so in terms of the book writing itself and sort of getting it, because a good friend of mine, he was asking about, because he's interested in writing a book. And, one of the things that I tell people is that, the book should be something that, in my opinion, I want to say shouldn't be a struggle to write, but it should be stuff that just comes out. It just comes out because it's in there. And the challenge is maybe organizing it the right way, but just get it all out there. But I think that the world wants to hear from everybody, and if there's a way that all of you can write a book and get something out there, it's such a fantastic legacy, but it's also something that can really teach. And that's something that I'm very fond of, especially in this the Win Again Academy. To me, it's all about really offering value and teaching versus selling or screaming or whatever it is, right? And so
Right.
when you were writing the book, um, I mean, I'm assuming you because it's you and you knew yourself, but tell me about like when you were finally done with the manuscript and so forth, where you're kind of like, okay, I'm all done, and then you found out you really weren't, because that's what happened to me. I was like, oh, I'm done, and then no, like it was halfway done. What was your
Yeah.
experience with that?
Well, I knew that there was going to be pit stops to get to my final destination, with being able to get my book published, and for the world to be able to see it. But when I had a friend of mine. He was telling me, he was like, just start writing. Jack Canfield, co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul, talked about a lot. Don't worry about punctuation. Don't worry about correcting words that are misspelled, whatnot. Just started writing. So I just literally got on my computer one night and I just started just typing it. And I remember I was like, if every day 3 or 4 hours, and sometimes maybe 2 hours here and
Mm.
there, whatnot. I was just typing late at night because obviously during the day I'm busy with my kids, and I'm networking, running my business. But one day I was like, I clicked that button and it was like that was it. It was done. And I just had this joy inside of me that I completed. I completed what I've been longing to do for a very very long time, and it was very emotional for me. Even writing my book, it was just there was so many I had so many highs and lows. I was laughing, I was crying, and it just took me way back to when I was this little kid, and I was just struggling in the ghetto, and I was just dreaming about getting out of the ghetto and doing something and trying to break this generational curse and being
Hmm.
able to inspire and motivate and give hope to the world. And so I knew that when I finished the manuscript, I knew there was another step to get a proofread. I sent it off to get a proofread, then they did a substantial amount of editing to it,
Right.
and then it was off to get published. And so it, you know, you I seen the finished product. You know, I tell you like this right here, I in my mind, I saw it and I'm like, it's done. It's just that you got to go out there and just put the work in and get it out to the world. And but it was for me, honestly, to be able to complete my book, it was better than me winning a gold medal.
Wow.
I want people to understand that, I'm serious about that. It was more important to finish my book and to get it published out to the world than winning that gold medal, because I know this is gonna echo until the end of time, until this world is like no more. And so the gold medals is nice. I mean, it's great. I've been the fastest man in the world twice, but my book is more important. And I want to continue to, I close my eyes for good, is to be able to get it out there to as many people as I possibly can, and just to continue to share my story because I want people to get better. I think when you're hurt and you've been broken before and all is like, you feel like all is lost, you need something to pick you. You need something that's going to pick you back up. That's going to rejuvenate you. Like, you know, you putting those batteries in whatever electronics you may have. Just to
That's
revive.
great. Now,
So
that's fabulous. So, um, I want us to have a few minutes to be able to go back and start and sort of chat with some people again. But I want to do something that I didn't really ask you if you would do beforehand, but I want you to. We're going to give away a copy of your book, a signed copy of your book, but we're just have to wait for the publisher to send you a couple more. But I want people to just keep on listening to what's happening here, and then in about 10 minutes, I'm going to send out a question out through the announcements in the general chat about something that we've talked about. It's going to be like a little bit of a quiz, and the first person to answer correctly will win that copy. Um, and is that cool with you, Terry?
no, that's great. I love it. I love the questions.
I should have said that at the start so people really paid attention. But I'm gonna ask them something anyway. So to wrap things up a little bit, number one, I know you told me a little bit about something, but I don't know if we're supposed to know or not know, but tell me a little bit about what you see coming forward. I mean, going forward in terms of stories about your life, that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, what I have for right now is I'm going for, going forward is I've been in negotiations or talking to Christian Tyree, who's a famous film director, about doing a Netflix series, a movie about my life. And for me, it's another means to where I can be able to plant more positive seeds out there to the world to be
Great.
able to give them hope. And I'm going to write a children's book. I was actually talking to Deshaun about this, and about a month ago, that's something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. And my children's book is gonna is gonna be about educating young people about steroids in sports, because
Oh,
obviously
great.
I lost medals, and that's something that has been on my that's for the last couple of years. I already knew that's something that I want to do, and so I'm going to knock that out, and I think that's going to be really good for the young people to really educate them about what I went through in my life and how they can make better choices and maintain their integrity. So that's important, and just my speaking business. I mean, I love speaking. I love sharing my story, and I want to be anywhere and everywhere. I mean, my Jack Canfield, I was able to take his TTO trainer course, and which was great. It was like going to college and just having somebody like him mentor me, and David Metzer. I mean, David Metzer was a great mentor as well, and I had some great chats with him, and so I just want to continue just to build, just like I said, to get my story out there more and more, and just to impact people and and then write more books. I mean, after my children's book, who knows? There's actually another book I do want to write, and and so I'm gonna share that. So I guess I was gonna hold back, but so in the next my the book I want to write is called Go Get Happy. That's my next book I want to
Go get
write.
happy. I like that. I like
Go Get
that.
Happy. because I mean, there's so many people that they're
Yeah,
focusing on the negative. They're going through so much turmoil. So it's gonna be a great book.
I love it. I love it. So what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Yeah, so you can reach me on my website at www.tyreeswashington. Make sure you put the S in there, Washington.com. And you can reach me on my Instagram at the real Tyree S. Washington. And I'm building my YouTube up, so that's getting built up. I'm hitting it in many different ways, but
And
and
LinkedIn, you're Tyree Washington there. You know what?
LinkedIn Tyree
But
S. Washington.
who the heck? So someone else has TyreeWashington.com?
Yeah, just like everybody else has Denzel Washington. I mean, like, there's a whole bunch of people that got
You know what
Denzel.
happened? You know, it's funny. There was another Mark Moyer that had MarkMoyer.com, but he wasn't using it. And I was kind of like, I found out somehow I was connected to the guy. And it's really weird to talk to somebody with your name. It's really weird.
Right. Did you
So,
offer money like, hey, let me buy you out?
well, no, he said, I'm keeping it. And I said, all right,
Wow.
you know. So then he was some 60-year-old guy in Phoenix who was like working for General Electric, and he was like waiting to retire to have a blog. And I'm thinking, nobody gives a crap. But anyway, so he says, well, give me X amount, right? And I was like, nah, that's okay. I'll use my middle initial, just like you did.
Right.
Mark A. Mark. He's like, no one cares about middle initials. So I was like, peace out. See ya. And then, of course, 3 weeks later, he was like, so how about a little bit less? And I
Yeah.
ended up with
That's
it.
how,
But it's like,
that's how it works. Yeah.
anyway. Well, listen, I really appreciate your time today. Thanks so much for being here, Tyree. You're a blast to have
Appreciate it.
on. And, um, I'm not only so impressed with your story and your resilience and your really the impact that you're making with your rebound, because it so many people do go through a variety of different types of trauma, and especially now with COVID and everything else, that it's really important for them to see how that there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is, and the light is a lot closer than they think it is. So I really appreciate your time and your messaging. Thanks so much for being in the club room. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. I just want to say this, that and give you this quote, give this quote to everybody, is that my coach gave it to me many years ago when my federation, I mean, there's a lot of people outside my federation. They're like, hey, you need to retire and time's up. But he said, destiny can be delayed, but not denied. So we all have a destiny, but throughout our life, we're going to go through some things, a lot of things, and it's going to slow us up from getting our destiny, but it'll never stop us. So just keep on pushing, keep on plugging, and be humble and take advantage. Write that gratitude list, because that's really important. And take advantage of those lifelines. Those lifelines are extremely important because there's people out there that are willing to help you. A closed mouth does not get fed.
Well stated. I like that one. I'm going to use that quote too. Well done, Tyree. Well, thanks so much. And we're going to see each other back at the tables, meeting each other and so forth. But thanks so much for being here today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.